Hello and welcome to Teaching Gamers Games, and with the Salford and Manchester Gaming Haven, got some guys here that we're going to teach the Quacks of Quedlinburg to today. Okay, so in the Quacks of Quedlinburg, we're basically all quack doctors that are creating potions to sell. And the aim of the game is to make the most points. You do that by advancing as much as you can on this track that's in your cauldron. The further along you get, at the bottom there's a number in a square. The further along you get, that's the amount of points you get each round. So if I got all the way around to the final space, which is space 35, which doesn't happen often, it'll get me 15 victory points for that round. Then it'll reset and I'll have another go. Every single round you're going to be getting a little bit further on because you're going to be buying ingredients to go into your bag. So the first round you might only get up to space 9, 10, 11 maybe if you're lucky. Next round, because you've got more things in your bag, it's going to push you a little bit further on. So yeah, the aim of the game is to get as many victory points as you can, and you do that by making the best potions. The first thing you need to do is you need to prepare your gaming bags. So the best way to do that is if you look on the easy side of the board, in the bottom corner there, it'll tell you exactly how much of each token you need in your bag. So just looking at this one, you've got 1 green 1, 1 orange 1, 3 white, 2 whites, and 4 1 whites. That's the best way to do it. Now we are actually going to be playing it on the advanced mode, so after you've loaded your bag with those, if you want to play advanced mode, just flip to the other side. It just doesn't have that text on that side, so that's the best way of setting it up. Quacks you kind of all play at the same time, apart from the last round, and I'll explain how you do it. So what you do is you're going to be grabbing things from your bag and then adding them to your potion. So this is your cauldron here. The only thing you can't do is get white tokens that add up to 8 or more. 7's fine, but as soon as you hit 8 or above 8, your potion explodes. So the white ones are really bad. So obviously at first your bag is filled with white tokens. It's going to be a bit hard to actually make a good potion, but I'll show you how to do it. So basically, you all do it at the same time. You're not waiting for turns, so that's quite good. There's no downtime. So you pull one thing out the bag. So I've got here a 3 white. Okay, so what you do is you look at your potion, and you always go from the droplet, which is always on 0 to start with, and you place this token 3 spaces away from that. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. You place it there, and then you make a choice. Do you want to draw another one out your bag, or do you want to stop? At the moment, there's no way I can explode this potion, so it wouldn't make sense for me to stop there, because like I said, you need 8 whites, and at the moment I've only got 3 whites. So I've got an orange one there. It's a number 1. So from the token you've just placed, you count 1 and put it there. Okay? You go again if you want to, which I do in this case. A 1 white, 1 goes there. I go again, a 1 white goes there. So now I'm on 5 white. Even if I pull the 2s that are in there, I'm still not going to die, so I might as well carry on. So I'll pull again, a 1 green, pop it there. And I might go one more time, a 1 white. So at the moment now, my whites add up to 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I was to pull the 2 whites that are in there, 2 2s there are, could potentially explode my potion and I'll lose out on some treats later. So I'm going to stop there and then I'll wait for the other players. They might be carrying on. As soon as everyone stops making their potions, we basically look at this board here. Okay, and it guides us through what to do next. So the first thing we do here, it says you roll the dice. Okay, so the person that gets to roll the dice is the one that's got the furthest in their potion. So on every single space on the token, there's every space in the cauldron, there's 2 numbers. The top number is how far along you've got. The bottom number, the smaller number, is how many victory points that's going to earn you. So looking at that top number, who got the furthest along? So if I was on 9 and everyone else was on 8, for instance, then I would get to roll the dice. The dice offers extra little treats, so it might be a victory point, 2 victory points, it might be a ruby, which I'll explain what they do later. This one's an interesting one, which is a picture of a droplet. If you get that, you can move one of your droplets, so you've got 1 here and 1 there. If you move this one, that's in your cauldron, you always start the potion the next space from that, so it's going to help you get a bit further every time. If you choose to move this one, you take the reward indicated as you move it on. So in that instance, on the first spot, I'll get a ruby for moving that droplet on. The last thing on here is a picture of a pumpkin, which adds a nice ingredient into your bag. It just makes your bag a little bit better for the next potion that you make. So that's the first thing you do. You check for the dice. The next thing you do is you look for black tokens. Nobody has any black tokens anyway in their bag for round 1, so this wouldn't even happen. If you do have a black token, you look at this black recipe book, should we call it? You look at that and it'll tell you what to do. It can vary depending on whether you've got 4 players or 2 players. In 4 players, black tokens, you have to beat the people sat next to you. So if I've got more black tokens than both people next to me, I'm going to move my droplet and get a ruby. If I've got more black tokens than just one person next to me, but not the other one, I still get to move my droplet, I just don't get the ruby. So that's what the black one does. Then again, you're moving on this board, you look at green tokens, and in this instance, the green one can change, but this one that I would recommend using all the number 1 bookmarks. It's got little bookmarks there. If you look on that side, that's 1, that side's 2. But I'd recommend choosing all the 1s just to start with. In this instance, green tokens give you a ruby if it's in the last spot on your cauldron or second to last. So in this instance, actually, it's second to last. There is a green one, so I would earn myself a ruby for that. So it's just it's worked out quite nicely there. It's the second to last space in my cauldron. The next one you look at is the purple ones. Purple ones, again, they're not even out yet. They don't even come into play until round 3. So you don't have to worry about that straight away. But basically, if there's any purple ones on the board, you might get a Veep, you might get a Veep and a Ruby, you might get two Veeps and a move of the droplet, depending on how many are out there. So then you move on to this one, which is a Ruby. So what you do is you look at the next space available, the one that you actually got up to when we were rolling the dice. So this one, space number 9, has it got a ruby shown on it? Well, actually, yes, space number 9 does have a ruby on it. So at this point, I would get a ruby because I'm up to a ruby space. Okay. The next 2, this is where busting's important. Okay. So there's 2 things here. There's the victory point bit, which is the square on the cauldron, and there's this bit, which is like a green blob. And that's how much money you'll get to spend on new tokens. So if you didn't bust, you're going to get both of those treats. If you did bust, because you got over 8 white ones into your cauldron, you're only going to choose one of those. If it's early game, I would recommend probably getting the money. If it's late game, you probably want to think about you getting victory points instead. But if you didn't bust, which I didn't, you get both of these things. So in this instance, looking at the next available space, I'd get 1 point and 9 money. Now money, the way that works is, on the bottom of each of these recipe books, it'll say how much a new token is to put in your bag. So a green 1 is 4 money, a green 2 is 8 money. So I could buy new things to go into my bag to make my potion a bit better next time. You can buy 2 tokens maximum, but they have to be different coloured tokens. You can't buy 2 of the same token. So yeah, that's very important. And the very last thing you can do is, if you've got 2 rubies, you can spend the 2 rubies to advance one of your droplets, or you can spend 2 rubies to refresh this potion if you've used it. Now, I've not mentioned this potion, but what it does is, if you pull a white one out of your bag that you don't want to put in your potion, you can drink this and put that white one back into your bag. Okay, so that's quite handy, obviously, if you think you're going to bust. The only time that doesn't work is if the white one you've just pulled out busts you. Okay, so you can't do it after you've exploded, you can only do it before that happens. So that's it. Every round there's a bit of a rubber band effect depending on where people are on the board. So if I just show you here, there's rat's tails on the board. So at the moment here, red's winning, and there's 2 rat's tails. You can see an actual picture of rats there. 2 rat's tails. Sorry, a bit closer there. Is that not? Oh, it's hard to see. There we go. There's a rat's tail there and a rat's tail there between red and yellow. So in this instance, yellow gets what we call 2 rat's tails. Okay. And the way that works is everyone has a little rat token, and say my droplet was there on the 0 space, 2 rat's tails would be 1, 2. And when you start placing things into your pot, you start from the rat, not from the droplet. So it's a bit of a rubber band just in case someone's running away with a lead. At the start of every round, we'll draw a fake card. Fake cards are just a treat for everybody. That's it. We have 9 rounds. The one with the most veeps at the end of the 9 round wins. The only difference in the last round is we don't just pull things out of the bag on our own. We all do it at the same time so that no one can watch where other people are up to and decide if they want to go or not. That is pretty much it. A couple of extra things on the board. Every round as it moves up, different things will happen. So in round 2, the yellow recipe book comes into play. Round 3, the purple recipe book. Round 6, you add another 1 white to your bag. And then the last round, you can't buy more things. You use the money to buy victory points instead. So it's 5 money is 1 victory point, and 2 rubies is 1 victory point at the final round. That is pretty much it. I think we'll make a start.
Let's go.
Okay, so I thought it might be a nice idea just to go over the starting books, recipe books that you probably want to be using for your first game. You know which ones these are because at the bottom you can see there's a little bookmark popping out the bottom. You're going to be looking for the ones with just 1 bookmark popping out. You can see on the back there's 2 bookmarks popping out. It goes all the way up to 4. But for the first game, I would recommend definitely using the ones with just the 1 bookmark popping out. I'll go through each of the books and tell you what they do. So the first one I'm going to touch on is the pumpkins. They're in every single game. They never change. They're always the same. They don't do much other than obviously put a nice ingredient into your bag that isn't going to bust you. But what they do is sometimes they interact with other tokens. So you'll see in this one they do interact with the red ones quite nicely. So I'll explain those a little bit later on. The black ones, this, again, they're very similar for all games. The only difference is, again, you can see at the bottom there, this is for 3 and 4 player side. There is one for a 2 player side. So this one, simple as if you have got black tokens and 1 is present or more, 1 or more is present in your cauldron at the end of the round, you look at this and you say, right, I've got a black token, I'm looking to the people either side of me, have I got more black tokens in my pot than them? If you beat both the players next to you, you get a ruby and you move 1 of your drops. If you just beat 1 person next to you, you still get to move your drop, you just don't get a ruby. So you have to get them in your potion, and you have to beat the people next to you for those to activate. The green ones I touched on in the video before. The green one, if you have a green one in your potion, so say I stop there, I mean this wouldn't be legal, let's put it there. Say I stop there, the green one is last in this instance. If it is last or second to last, I'll get a ruby. So it's fine there, it would even be fine there, I would get a ruby. So yeah, so all it matters is if it's last or second to last when the round ends. The blue ones are one of my favourites. I'll just demonstrate this one. So, say a blue one comes out, and I've just got a blue 1 there. You put it in your potion like you normally would. So put it in there, and then what you do is you get a little bit of a foresight into your next token. So in this instance, because it says blue 1, you're allowed to take 1 chip from your bag. So let's do that now. 1 chip. Have a look at it and decide, do you want to put that 1 chip into your pot? Well, in this instance, no, probably not. So I'll pop that one back in. The number on the blue tells you how many you pull out of the bag. So let's pretend I pulled a 4 out, which is a blue 4. I'm going to pop it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time you get to pull 4 chips out of your bag. Have a look at them and decide, do you want to put 1, still only 1, but obviously you're looking at more chips. So do you want to put 1 of those 4 in your bag? In your potion, the rest go back into the bag. So blue is kind of, helps you not bust basically, because you can pick the ones you want to put in there. Looking at red, these ones interact with the oranges in this instance. They don't always interact with the oranges, but in this instance they do. So the way this one works is, if you have got any oranges already in your pot, so let's pretend I had this orange already in my pot, it could have been anywhere, let's pop it there, and then I pull out a red, so I pulled out a red here on this occasion. So if I've got 1 pumpkin or 2 pumpkins already in, this number is increased by 1, okay? So if there's 1 pumpkin or 2 pumpkin in my pot, it increases the number by 1. So this is actually a 2 now, so I wouldn't, normally I'd pop it there, but in this instance 1, 2, I pop it there. If there was 3 pumpkins or more in my potion, the number of the red would be increased by 2. So you kind of want, if you are going down that route to use the reds, you want to hopefully get your oranges out before the reds come out. It sometimes doesn't happen that way. But yeah, that's how they work nicely. You want oranges combined with reds. The next two I'm going to explain. The yellows, they only come out round 2, so you can't even buy them at the end of round 1 anyway. But what the yellows do is they're quite situational. If you pull out a yellow, so this instance, let's see, I've got a yellow 2, I'll pop it in my potion 1, 2, like that. After you've put it down, you have a look. If the one before it, so in this case it's a red one before it, if the one before it was a white, you can put that white one back in your bag. So in this instance, nothing would happen. But let's pretend for a moment that this was the case. Pull the white 2 out before that happened. 1, 2, and put it there. And then I pull my yellow one out. 1, 2. I would then put this white one, the one just before this, back in the bag. Okay? So it has to be the one just before that yellow one that you pulled out. So it can be quite nice if it comes out at the right time. You can move quite fast. Because if you say you pulled out the white 3 and then a yellow come out, you're obviously still getting that advantage of moving 3 spaces, but the white one isn't going to be adding to your potential explosion. So that's not bad when it works. The very last one, which I think is probably one of the weakest out of all the starting ones, is this one, okay? And it's the purple chips one, so as you can see, they've all got a value of 1 on here. There's no option to buy any more than that. But basically, let's say that was there and they decided to end the round. When it comes to it, because I'll just show you the board one more time, every recipe book activates as they come out, apart from the blacks, green and purples. They activate at the end of the round here on the board. So blacks, greens and purples, end of the round. Everything else happens as you pull it out. So purple just sits on your board until the end of the round. When it comes to that, the victory point board, and you're going down there, having a look at the purples, you then count up how many purples you've got in your potion. In this instance, I've got 1. You're looking at the book, 1 purple chip in my pot is a point. If it was 2 purple chips, it'd be a point and a ruby. 3 purple chips, 2 points and a movie droplet. So you can invest quite a bit of money in that and not get a lot of return on the purples. So that's why I think that they're not too good in the starting round. So I'd probably avoid those if you are a new player. That's it. So I think you've got everything you need now to start the game and understand all the recipes. So have fun.